Hello and welcome, folks, to another edition of RSF Radio. I am your host. A very special edition tonight. I have with me in the studio, maybe not someone that you would know from the Street Fighter universe, because I'm kind of feeling like I'm in the Nether Realm right now. I've been transported to another place. It's LLumiya. How you doing?
I'm awesome, man. How are you?
I'm feeling weird because there's not a lot of Street Fighter news, a whole lot of Mortal Kombat news. For people who don't know who you are, you host Babality every Tuesday night, which is a Mortal Kombat and it's just like NRS in general, or like with specific Mortal Kombat.
So far, it's only been Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of came into things after Injustice 2 started to die out, so we went back to MKX and restarted that, and then now we are starting with MK11.
Okay, so for people who are frequent listeners to this show, they're used to me slurring my words like that, but other than that, what they're not used to hearing is typically like NRS games and Mortal Kombat in general, but that's really your bread and butter. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah.
Okay. So from my perspective, I have to ask you, like, what do you before we get into all like the questions and what you do, I always like to take some time at the top of the show and ask the guest, what do you have going on? I want to put this stuff up front so you don't have to squeeze it in at the end where people have stopped listening. So if you have anything to pitch right now is your time. If you want to shill, go right ahead.
Okay. I like that. That's kind of cool, actually. So as he said, I host Babality every Tuesday with a lovely, lovely friend of mine named Manushka. It's a ladies only King of the Hill where we try to showcase the talent of the women in the community and bring each other together so that we can build up like a stronger kind of training squad. Mm-hmm. We're trying to be better. We're trying to level up so that we can eventually make top 8s and stuff like that. So how better to do it than to have a bunch of people to train with every week. So yeah, and then I commentate that with Manushka. It's usually really fun, and we try to kind of keep it educational, keep it enjoyable, and keep it pretty casual as well.
Yeah, I like the ways that you've been, I guess, promoting the players. Like the way that I think a lot of communities miss out on this. And I actually think a lot of locals miss out on this, but like highlighting the people that show up is, I don't necessarily think it's like, I don't know if it's like hard to do, but I feel like a lot of communities skimp on that. And that's like, that's the draw. Am I right?
Yeah, well, I feel as though, everybody gets to see the players that make top 8s. They watch the tournament footage, so they know the names. But there's a lot of really talented players that don't necessarily get to make it out to tournaments all the time, mm-hmm. or, that just shy away from making a placement where they get seen. And unless you're part of the community, you don't really get a chance to see them too often. And especially with the women, because like a lot of the women don't travel. So mm-hmm. It's pretty cool to be able to showcase that and also to train with each other.
Yeah, no, I'm totally for that. As someone who's run a long running online series myself, that is like, there's some killers out there who just don't travel. That, like, it's one of those things where whenever they eventually do get out to travel and they take out some like top player, I'm like, the commentator's like, where did this person come from? I'm like, I fucking know where they came from. Don't like, let's not fuck around here. That's my boy up there. Like that's my child. This dude's
been kicking your ass for the past like 6 months, and then all of a sudden nobody knows where he came from. Yeah,
it is. I don't know if that is like relatable to you in any way where, like, man, that is like that to me is like so special of like, hey, like y'all can fuck off, like this person rocks. Just because I don't follow the MK community enough to know like who the real killers are out there, or if something like that has happened where it's like, here's this strong player from this local, and then where did this person come out of nowhere? I don't know if is the MK community really like that. It's not something that I don't feel like there's a lot of cross-pollination between the Street Fighter and NRS community. I wish it was a little bit different, though, because, I don't know, all fighting games are good. Rising tide.
Yeah, I agree. I think with 11, it might change slightly because I know that MKX, a lot of the Street Fighter guys felt as though there wasn't as much of a neutral in MKX because it was such a rushdown game. And so I feel as though that caused a lot of Street Fighter people to prevent themselves from actually playing Mortal Kombat X. I know Justin Wong and there was a few others that did play at the beginning and they did really well in tournaments, and then they just kind of pull back after they don't want to put the hours in, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm hoping that with MK11 it changes because it is a lot slower paced than MKX was, and it's more fundamental based, it's more based on your neutral. It seems to kind of bridge the gap between Street Fighter and MKX. So I'm really hoping that people from other fighting games come and join us in this one because it'll just be so much better for our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that this one in particular is easier to get into. But before we really dig deep into that, before we get our hooks into it, our scorpion spears into that chunk of meat, I do want to. We haven't finished pitching Babality because that's like a pretty huge thing you do. Like I said, every Tuesday night. What time does that start?
Yeah, it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm actually in Pacific, but I just get used to it because the majority of our community is Eastern. So, but it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's live on Twitch. Then we post the archive on our YouTube channel the next day, usually, or within the next couple of days after, depending on me and my workload.
Yeah.
But it's every Tuesday or at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Babality, and it's spelt with an E, like Babeality.
Babe-ality.
Yeah, because they're all babes,
I mean, the branding is pretty on point, honestly. The pun is there. I think we get it. It's very, very good. So you have that going on. Is there anything else that is current, up and coming that that the wheels are turning on with you?
I'm working on a lot of stuff, but nothing that's ready to be talked about yet, unfortunately.
Oh, dang.
I know this is the problem, is I've been working on it for months and months and months, and I'm almost at the verge of announcing everything, but I'm not quite there yet. So you caught me right before.
Fuck. But hey, that's like a teaser.
Another one later.
Right? That's a good teaser to say hey, in a little bit of time, maybe if you follow your Twitter account, LLumiya, 2 L's, don't forget it.
Yeah.
Then maybe in the next month or so, we'll see something.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there any kind of bait you could throw out? Anything to sweeten that bait? A little salt out there?
Maybe. So I'm trying to make some pretty cool educational stuff for esports, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Very good. That is something.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll help you guys.
Now, I'm just going to guess. You haven't told me about it, so this is just me. I'm not breaking any NDAs. I'm just saying that some education within the esports realm, let's say, is insufficient. There's a lot of how do I say this politely? Idiots who don't go about it in a professional manner, in a way, in a sense. Whereas, I don't know, you look at the landscape today, it's much different than it was even, I don't know, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was a different world. Not even close. Especially for the fighting game community. Are you kidding me? But now there's so many players out there who have such immediate access to the fans that would follow them, and there is a lot of irresponsible use of influence, let's say, and also lost opportunity, honestly. But I won't dig into that too much. I don't know if that's I don't even know if that's the direction that you are taking that, but
I mean, I want to I see a lot of areas of opportunity too, and I feel as though a lot of people try to fill that void, but they either do it with extreme bias, or it's it's just kind of not produced well. And I'm one of those people that's looking for quality over quantity, essentially. So I kind of try to find things that are really informative and really well done. And I feel like everyone that I watch is good at something, but nobody's good at everything. And so I really want to kind of bring all of that together and make really quality stuff for everyone. And so definitely follow me on Twitter, because this will be pretty awesome. And I am very excited.
You heard it here, folks. It'll knock your fucking socks off. You'll be amazed for sure. No, I agree with that, though. I mean, I would even go as far to say, like, this show is not even as well produced as I would like it to be. Personally, I don't have the time. That is one thing. Like, if I treated this as my career or my job, this is just an extra thing I do on top of work. Like, I just got done with a 12-hour shift, sat down and hit record on this. That's the kind of buck wild, like, moment to moment life that I'm trying to lead. But if I were to approach this like a career, let's say I were an audio engineer, perhaps in a past life. That was actually something before we start. By the way, folks, I want to give LLumiya some props here on when you sat down. You were like, is this microphone better? Is this one good? Can you hear any of the background noise? Is this chair too squeaky? You asked, is the chair too squeaky? And guess what, some of you folks, sometimes it fucking is. Sometimes your chair's too squeaky.
That shit drives me nuts. Like, I used to do audio engineering, and I worked in a recording studio for a short while, which really doesn't pay. So don't get into that career unless you're 100% passionate, guys. But anyways,
no, it's super. You learn a whole lot. You learn a whole lot of stuff that, like, is highly specific that you can never unhear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, you would hear someone's mouth moving in the microphone, and you're just like, ew, that's disgusting. But at the same time, like, it's authentic. So do you keep it? Do you scrap it? Who knows? But even the smallest movements, like people being nervous and like running their hands down their pants, like, you can hear that, and it's crazy. So, like, I'm always very conscious of that type of stuff and trying to make it as perfect as possible. So I appreciate that you also can
make sure that no one is fidgeting with something. Like, that's the other thing. The people who I talk to, or I guess this is an interview show. Fuck it. The people who I interview are like, man, like, maybe don't have a pen in your hand, perhaps. How about don't click that pen, my guy?
Yep.
would it hurt you? Because now I have to go back through and, like, select that exact sound wave of clicking, and if it's over top of you speaking, like, how much do I end up cutting out? How much do I leave in? Editing, folks, audio editing, man, it is
something else. Very tedious and very, very, very. If you're good at it, you can tell the difference. Like, if you're not a good editor and you just kind of just like Frankenstein an audio clip together, you can tell the difference. But a good editor is just so nice. You can hear everything so crisp and clear, and
none of the bad stuff, all the good stuff. That's what I'm all for. But not in this show. Fuck it. There was my dog was on this podcast last week. And it was in a moment where I couldn't edit it out, or at least I could have edited it out, but the way that Rob TV was a guest last week, and the way that he responded to it was too real, and I felt like it needed to stay in that way. So there was, that's just the studio that I work in. It also happens to be home to an 11-pound dog who is sometimes he gets pissed off sometimes.
What kind of a dog is it?
He's a toy fox terrier. He's the best. He is the official dog of our Street Fighter, actually.
Awesome.
And when I say quote unquote official dog, it's more so that, like, I have a little bit of too much power and just decided my dog is very good. Enjoy some of these dog pictures, everybody, because who's going to say no to that, honestly?
Well, who would ever want to? Like, dogs are awesome.
I mean, that's just science, honestly. Like, you can't deny. Listen, the tweets that I share about like our weekly tournament, the engagement's like is down here. I'm holding my hand very low. The tweets where I include Brick, the dog, way up here. It's through the fucking roof, guys. So like clearly, I'm all about the metrics, and he brings numbers. What can I say?
Yeah, there you go.
No, but regardless, thank you for your audio editing and your, I guess, appreciation of the details, because that is some stuff that I think is missing from a lot of content out there.
I agree.
So I'll super agree with you on that. Like, video editing is another thing that people will, I guess, maybe skimp isn't the right word, but just lazily do it or not know how to do it at all. Like, no crossfades. You kidding me? What are you even on about?
So I just recently started learning how to do proper video editing, and it has overlaps with audio editing, so it kind of, it's the same concepts, it's just a different media. It's just like, oh my God. I mean, for the basic stuff, but I don't know. There's some people who are so good at video editing, and it just blows my mind. That's one thing that I would love to be extra skilled at, but I'm just not there yet. One day.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. That's like, if I had more time on my hands and more, I guess, smarts. I need more smarts to do that. I feel too dumb. Anytime I sit down in front of Vegas, I'm just like, oh, there's a lot of options here, ain't there? Oh, boy.
And then you go on YouTube and you're like, how do I do this on Sony Vegas Pro? And then you're like watching like 8 videos and none of them are the same version. So you're like, how the fuck?
Or the person does it like so. The thing that always gets me is whenever the tutorial is like, oh, and then you just do this, which like clearly you know how to do. I'm like, whoa, like no, I don't. What other tutorial do I need to look up before I even get to this part? Regardless, fine video editing is rare and in between. But I would say, have you seen the documentaries from NoClip, the Danny O'Dwyer joint?
I have not.
He's done some good stuff on the FGC that I think is a choice in terms of, like, he's just a fantastic producer. So, like, first and foremost, that's someone who I would look to for good video. He mostly it's documentaries. I don't know why, like, that particular conjugation of that word was lost from my brain.
You had a 12-hour day. You're allowed. You're allowed. That's all right, man.
Nah. That's how I live my life, man. These bad decisions were of my own accord, so that's no one else's. But speaking of, no, this isn't a bad decision. These are good decisions. Is playing Mortal Kombat. I've heard that it's a good video game. What's your pitch? So, hey, Lumiya.
Yes.
I'm playing a role here. I'm going to do some role playing. Okay. I've only ever played Street Fighter my whole life, and in fact, spent the better part of the last decade making fun of NRS games, Injust Ass, all of the other puns that make fun of Mortal Kombat. So I maybe I have hatred in my heart for Mortal Kombat, but there is a new game out and people are talking about it. What would appeal to me, the ignorant Street Fighter player?
Well, I feel as though Street Fighter's a lot more defensive of a game than previous Mortal Kombat games. So I'm going to tell you right now that MK11 is a lot more like that. You get rewarded for strong defense. There's a mechanic in the game called a flawless block. And how that works is if you have a really strong defense and you block at perfect timing, you can actually reverse just off of that and get like a couple hits off, even if that person is not actually hyper negative. You get like kind of like a pop-up.
Okay.
Also, it prevents you from taking chip damage. So if you're really good at defensive mechanics in fighting games, that's something that you could definitely use to your advantage, and that's something that I think a lot of the NRS players are going to suck at. So if you want to compete in tournament, you could probably do a lot with just that mechanic alone. So there's that. And then there's also the fact that the game is a lot more neutral based. Like I said earlier, I think it's a lot less more about, it's less about 50-50s and more about actually, with punishing things and trying to, make your opponent do what you want them to instead of kind of just guessing. So those were the two main things that I think that most people had issues with from MKX. And I feel as though because both of them are changed, it's definitely worth a shot to try. I mean, the animations look a lot better. I know that's another thing that people complained about for MKX is that they didn't like the animations. They look beautiful. And the characters you can actually see now on the darker stages because the characters are brighter. So you'll get to actually see nice, pretty colors as well. And that. Yeah, and all the gore just got better.
Now define better. That's a very there's not a number attached to that. I mean, what's the metrics on better? Can I drop an arcade cabinet on someone? Are we talking like Jack's level fatality circa Street Fighter 3 or Mortal Kombat 3? Fuck me.
There is a fatality that honestly, I just love it so much. Johnny Cage actually punches you, or he takes half your body off and sticks his hand inside, or he holds your corpse and he does that whole puppeteer thing with it and doesn't talk out of his mouth properly. He's speaking out of the side of his mouth and using you like a little ventriloquist doll.
That's very Johnny Cage of him.
And I love it. And there's just so many really great fatalities, and they have fatal blows, which is kind of the switch over of an X-ray, which is just as gory, if not worse in some situations. Basically, when I say that the gore got better, I mean that whoever is coming up with all this stuff has got a really messed up brain, and I love it. It's just amazing.
Now, that always brings up my time little classic of I feel like when they launched this game, they should have started a countdown or a count up timer on their website that's just time till ill-informed news outlet, trusted news outlet produces an op-ed on, are video games too violent? Are they causing violence in kids? Has that happened yet? I feel like we're there. It has to have happened already, right?
I feel like it has. I feel like it has, but I mean, you can see that from pretty much anything. I know that when newscasts talk about gory video games, Mortal Kombat is probably one of the ones that gets brought up the most because of it being so savage.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a history of that, honestly. So that's
but I mean, the game's been out since the 90s. The only thing that's changed, I mean, the gore back then was Scorpion was still ripping people's spines out of their body. It's just higher definition now. That's all.
It's just I mean,
it's HD.
There's something that I've continually wanted. I actually don't know if it's in this game, but I want someone in a new Mortal Kombat where everything is rendered this is a rib cage, this is someone's shin, this is how a skull looks, this is what a testicle is inside the scrotum. Again, something that I imagine is something that you can see in this new Mortal Kombat. Who knows? But how in old Mortal Kombats where it was you continue to punch him in a and it's rib cages everywhere, just dozens of rib cages. I want to see that made manifest in 2019, where it's wait a minute, I already saw that rib cage leave. He already pulled it out.
Where did it come from?
There's a part of me that wants dozens of rib cages, but that's neither here nor there. Regardless, though, again, I am an ignorant Street Fighter player. I might hate Street Fighter, but I only like real fighting games that have a Ryu who does a fireball, a dragon punch, and a low forward. Is there even a character for me in this game? What are you even talking about?
There's plenty of characters for you. There is. I mean, there's dragon punches and there's fireballs on a lot of different characters. I mean, there's actually a wide selection of like character archetypes as well. Like you've got your big body grapplers, you've got, you know, your quick like rush down characters, and you've got the more neutral based ones that like to play with their spacing. And I mean, the game really gives you an opportunity to play to your play style. So if you like a zoner, you can pick a zoner, you can pick pretty much anything. So I'm telling you right now, go at least try MK11, you know?
All right.
Do it.
Maybe you have my attention. Maybe you have it. But Lumiya, again, I'm very ignorant, and I see on the internet that people are disappointed with this game. People are angry. It seems that there's a lot of microtransactions is all over this game. I saw his name in the credits. It's just microtransactions right down the list from top to bottom. I saw the Maximilian dude be sad about Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Should I be?
I didn't see that one. But
here's like the secret. Like it like fucking happened once, and it was for like it's all bullshit. Don't listen to this. Don't listen to ignorant shit better players.
Here's the thing. I know you're concerned about microtransactions. I know
he was very rude to me. He stole over $1,000 from me. Clearly, so I am.
You know, microtransactions. He really does that too, because he knows you want to play. He knows
the whale that I am.
But actually, the microtransactions are not on anything that has to do with the actual gameplay. It's strictly on aesthetics, so it's not pay to win. You don't have to worry about that. Also, in the combat cast today, they addressed the difficulty of some of the towers that people were complaining about, and they are adjusting that. And they are also fixing the crypt so that when you are going to unlock things, you can gain in-game currency faster and easier than previously, because people were very upset about that. So all of those issues are kind of addressed already, and it's only day 2. So I think that's really cool that NRS is actually, trying to listen to the fans and seeing what's going on Twitter. Cool. Now I know that if you're worried about the reviews, a lot of those people are playing on PC, and I would highly not recommend buying this game on PC. Do it on console if you can, just because right now I think they contracted out the PC version of the game, and it's not running all that well. So that will get changed, but I have no idea how long that's going to take. So if you have a console, definitely get it on a console first over PC. And if you get it on PC, good luck. And I really wish the best for you.
I think it was the same company, to bring it back into Street Fighter world, the same company that did the Street Fighter Cross Tekken port to PC. I believe it's the same company. I don't have that name available, but I'm not going to drag someone for doing a bad job. That's not what this podcast is about. It's about celebrating good stuff. And also pretending to be that begrudging person online who's saying, well, the tower is bad. Here's something. So the one that got me, the one complaint that I saw someone say was like, oh, it's filled with microtransactions. This game is trash because of it. And then like not even like 1 or 2 replies later where they like, well, the fighting's actually very good. It's a very good game, but it's obviously a bad game because of because of the tower is bad. And I'm like, yo, you just said it was the part where you play it, that is the part where you interact with it, is good. Like
people just like to find things to get salty about, because internet clout. Oh boy, that's the most important thing ever. I got this many likes on my tweet because, oh my god, everyone else is salty about this too. So let's just make some like hive mind shit going on here, because that's the way to go. Like, I mean, you can hate things, but it's day 2. I think this release is way bigger than they had expected. And the netcode is awesome, even with that being a thing. There's like a lot of things that could have gone wrong that didn't, and they gave us a product that looks amazing, that feels amazing when you play it, and is just really fun. So I played through the story. I finished it last night, and I was like, oh my goodness, that was so good.
Good story.
Final boss is really hard, which I love. That's a very important thing for me. I hate it when the final boss is like too easy, And then also like the story was actually intriguing, I mean, it's Mortal Kombat, so it's pretty. I mean, it's like, wow, this person's angry at this person. Let's fight, you know? That's kind of like
the way that I've heard it described is like the wackiness of, or I should say, the seriousness of MK9 and the wackiness of MK10. MK11 is like a good mix between the two, and a good, like, oh fuck, this is actually a trilogy, as it turns out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard.
Agree.
Again,
Yeah,
I'm actually ignorant. I'm not pretending to be ignorant on this. I am actually, this is Joe actually ignorant on this subject of how the story is. I haven't played it yet, but it's actually incredible with a K to hear that the netcode is good, doing the numbers that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. I haven't had any issues at all.
Wow.
I mean, there's still the people who play on Wi-Fi, McDonald's internet, you know? But like, you can't do anything about that. That's their problem. That's not like a server problem. That's
right.
just
That's just an internet. Does the game tell you if they're on Wi-Fi?
Yes, it does. And you can decline the match. Oh, so exciting.
Oh, that's so important. You know it's so important. I love that shit.
Yeah.
That's good. Dunk them. You see that Wi-Fi? You see them bars? Dunk them. I love it.
Yeah, they've got that 1 bar red ping rocking the Wi-Fi connection, and you're like, that's going to be a hard decline on this one. Hell no. I'm not playing it. Yeah.
Step off. I like it. Oh, that's so good. That's a good thing to hear. That's good news. Other than that, online play, how's it set up? What's the online like? Are there any Smurfs out there? Do I have to worry about Smurfs?
I mean, it's possible, but nobody's really that good at the game yet. Like, you still have people who are going to be better than like average Joe, but you're gonna run into people like Sonic Fox who are just good at everything automatically. But there's also like, nobody has really, because it's only 2 days old, like there's not anyone that's kind of like mastered anything yet.
Okay.
So I'm seeing, when I'm watching streams of like a lot of the pro players, seeing them get like beaten by randoms online quite a bit. And so I think that's cool, because it means that everyone's kind of on more of an even playing ground right now.
Yeah. The meta
but the
hasn't
online
been decided yet, let's say.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there's a lot of people all over Twitter because, you know, day 1, day 2, they're experts already. They're making like tier lists, and they're making like judgments on characters. Yo, Johnny Cage sucks. But it's like, you have had less than a week with this character. Give it some time. We're going to find out Johnny Cage is broken in like a couple of weeks, and it's just going to come out, and everyone's like, what the hell? I thought that character sucked ass, like, when he first came out. But a lot of people from MKX aren't used to the mechanics of this game yet too, so there's also that, like, getting used to, like, there's short hops in this game. Did you know that?
I actually, wait, no, let me put on my other costume. Short hops? What's that?
What's a short hop? Huh? Well, let me tell you. A short hop is when you don't jump fully into the air. It's like just a little tiny little hop off the ground, kind of like a little bunny rabbit. And then you smoke the person in the head, and you get an overhead in this game. But you can also do an empty short hop and go for a low or go for a grab. So there's a little bit of a mix in that. You can't get a full combo off of it though, which is awesome. Because I think that anything that's like really mix strong shouldn't really give you a full combo.
Oh, okay.
But
that's actually
I think it's kind of cool.
Is that kind of how this is? Now, granted, again, this is only 2 days into it, but do you think that might have been a core design on how this game works in general? Is that the high mix-up potential has been somewhat snubbed by damage output on the back end?
I think okay, so I think NRS listened to people's complaints about MKX, because MKX, there was a lot of 50-50s. There was a lot of things that, you know, you could get a full combo, you could get like 30-something% off of something that you just had to guess. And I think that's kind of unfair for a lot of competitive matches, because it's like there's conditioning, and that's one thing, but if you literally have to guess 50-50, that kind of sucks. So with this game, they've given each character either a good overhead or a good low, and it's kind of like one or the other. You don't really get both on one character. So that's something that they did speak about in the Combat Cast a while ago. So that was intentional. So when it comes to mixing, you have small mixes, like you can mix, like you could do stagger strings into like a grab, or you can do like the short hop thing. It doesn't really give you a whole lot. It's like a couple, like you get a hit or a grab, 12% or whatever it is, and it's not a whole lot, but it does add up. So if you're good at mixing, you can still do that and still get some damage from it, but it's just not going to give you full combos anymore.
Out of curiosity, here's my fighting game brain working. But can you link directly from short hop into super?
You can't actually link directly from short hop into anything except for the overhead. So like you can land first and then go into your super, and it's really hard because it's very quick.
Okay.
So like you could do your fatal blow is actually what it's called. You could do that like right afterwards, but I don't think, unless there's a character that has their fatal blow in the air, I doubt that there's a character that you could do that, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I wouldn't.
Okay. So all right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I would lab day one if I had time to lab day one. I'm still day 0 on this yet. I gotta get into it. I gotta know. That's why I have professionals like yourself telling me what for. So again, you brought up something that I think is important to bring up, but right now, game balance is it's not part of the conversation yet. And if anyone is claiming to be like, this game is unbalanced, or this game is very, like, it's day 2, my guy. Like, you can't know this stuff yet.
Yeah. I mean, even the people who haven't been sleeping and they did like 24-hour streams or whatever, they don't know everything about every character either. So, no. I mean, you can make your little speculations. Be like, oh, I think this character is not that good, or I think this character will be OP, but it's not a guarantee. Like, you can't. Even in MKX, there was characters that people like completely slept on, and then near the end of the game, like literally, like the last tournaments of MKX, people were like, "What? Where did Tremor come from? He's so broken." Like, what? Like, it's because the characters, like, unless somebody really dives in and like rips the character apart and tries to like really fully understand it, you know, you're not going to ever get like a full understanding of that character. There's still stuff that people are finding to this day on MKX. And so I think that that's really cool that in MK11 we're going to get that opportunity. But I stress to everyone, don't sell if you are in love with like a specific character, don't let go just because everyone else is saying that they suck on day 1, because that means absolutely nothing. And I'm sure there will even be patches coming out just to kind of like make sure everything's okay. But I really hope that they don't like nerf or buff anything too hard, because the game feels really good. And I think right now, like, it's too early to really say whether something is broken or not, unless it's not actually working as intended. So.
And from what I know historically, that has actually been a complaint from the community about NRS games, is that they're almost too responsive to patching things in and out of the game, nerfing characters, just using that nerf hammer a little bit too liberally, let's say, in the past. But again, that's just from my knowledge. But I know here's my thing though. This is just my fighting game opinion that I think stands true today, but I actually don't think balanced fighting games are good. I don't think that having a balanced fighting game is a good design decision. I think that having distinct tiers of characters and distinct I guess benefits to certain skills that characters might have access to is worthwhile in a fighting game, because it allows for the very special expression of what you might call like a low tier hero, or someone who is capable of overcoming a bad matchup. Like, maybe the character isn't OP, but maybe this matchup is just super difficult, and that's because the balance of the game dictates that this match is super difficult. And I think that those storylines are worthwhile, and those very human moments of overcoming something difficult, I feel is worthwhile. But that's just the way that I look at it. I see a lot of people say game balance is like number 1. That's the number 1 thing that's like super important to me. And I'm not trying to invalidate that opinion, but like, that is my opinion, that good fighting games are unbalanced. But
I feel like I slightly disagree with you on that, because
please do.
Yeah, and I mean, my reasoning for it is that, I mean, like a game being imbalanced just pushes anyone who wants to be competitive to try to play the top tiers, because it just makes it an easier pass for them. And I agree with what you're saying when someone plays like a low tier champion and then like actually does really well in tournament, and you're like, oh damn, like they used this character, and it's like exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think having different character archetypes is really good, like having like grapplers, having, you know, your zoning characters, having something that's rushed down, having the more like basic fundamental characters. And I like having the different types of characters, but I don't necessarily feel as though having a tier list is really the way that I would describe it. It's more along the lines of having different types of characters that people can use in different situations, so that when you do have a bad matchup, you could be like, oh, well, I think, you know, I'm going to use an anti-zoning character because he's playing a zoner. I'm going to pick Jade because she has like this aura that prevents projectiles from going through her. And so like there's like an answer to everything, which in my opinion kind of like gives you more of an incentive to learn more characters, and learning more characters always helps your matchup knowledge. So it kind of like pushes you to learn more about the game and to like actually play more. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, I mean, I was a character.
No, I know what you mean. You don't mean just play more, but like play more, like something that is not necessarily your thing. Step outside of your boundaries, let's say.
Yeah, I was a character loyalist in MKX, and there's a lot about that game that I still don't know. And I feel as though like in MK9 when I was playing, I was a very shitty MK9 player. So don't expect any like pro MK9 advice from me. But I played MK9 and I did a lot with the entire cast, and I just kind of enjoyed the game. And I feel as though I understood different things about different characters. And as I was learning, I, you know, learned the ins and outs of this character and that character and this one, and it kind of just made me have a more broad understanding of different scenarios. And I think in MK11 that's going to be kind of more my game plan, is to go with characters that I not only like but that also are different from each other, so I can kind of have an answer for any situation. And I really like, I'm not normally a grappling person, but I really want to try picking up a grappler in MK11 because it's just kind of like different, you know?
Yeah, do it. Grappler life. That's what I'm all about. Who's the grappler in this game? Who should I choose?
There's a few. There's some people with command grab. So Kano has a command grab.
Who's the biggest boy?
The biggest boy is probably Shao Kahn or Garrus.
And when I say biggest boy, that boy could be a girl too.
Yeah, Shao Kahn or Garrus, they're both dudes. Shao Kahn's a beefcake, you know, he's got like those quads that he looks like he can squat like 4,000 pounds or something like that. And he's just busting in there with his big old armor and his hammer. And then Garrus is, he has command grabs, but he also has a lot of weird mechanics. As he's a new character to Mortal Kombat. And I find him really interesting because he has different movesets that I've never seen before. Like he has a move where he can actually change the amount of time left on the game clock. So like if you have 90 seconds of a round, he can take away 30 seconds or he can add 30 seconds. And I think that's really weird and interesting.
That appeals to me. As someone who appreciates a slow grappler style where you can really, like, the clock is a resource, like it is high on the list of resources, that is appealing to me. So I might check out that character. He
also has a move where he rewinds time so that you know, I don't know if this is in his tournament variations. I just know from playing it.
Oh, by the way, before you go on about tournament variations, again, let me don my ignorant Street Fighter player hat. What the fuck do you mean tournament variations? What you mean by that? Variations on characters? Do I have to unlock moves?
So in MK11, there is different movesets that you can have. You can create your own custom variations and use them for fun. But there are tournament variations. There's 2 variations per character right now. And they're all like structured from NRS to be like kind of balanced or whatever. And They are found in tournament mode, or if you go into like practice mode on your MK11, you can actually like add them as custom variations. That's one thing. My only gripe with the game is that they didn't make tournament variations be the base variations of every character. It's kind of like you have to add them in, which is kind of lame in my opinion. Some of them are the same and some of them are not.
Is there an option to only do tournament variation in ranked mode? Or like online?
You can play tournament matches, but in practice mode, you have to add it in as it's kind of lame. That's literally the only thing I don't like about the game, though. Everything else makes me really happy. So if that's the only thing, it's not that bad. But yeah, so tournament variations, each one has a different play style. You can do custom variations, making your own play style, which is super cool. But with tournament ones, that's what most of the pros are going to stick to, I'd imagine. And you kind of just got to pick out of the two. In MKX, we had 3 variations for each character to pick from. Now that's down to 2. So it makes it a little bit easier to keep track of as far as remembering how to counter it. And yeah. So yeah, with the tournament variations for Garrus, I'm not sure which ones there are, but like he also has moves that he like reverses time. So he regains health. You like don't, and he just kind of like goes back. So if you just took like a hell of a lot of damage, you can use this move, and he kind of like rewinds and builds himself and gains some life back and meter and whatever. It's pretty cool.
I'm for it.
Yeah, he's got a really weird moveset.
All right, but anyway, we took a turn there. We were talking about something, and I lost the lead on this one. So there are tournament variations. So that's what we're going into. If I'm going to show up to a big tournament, MK is on the board. Lots of registrants. We're playing tournament mode. None of this bullshit, whatever move you got kind of stuff. I don't have to unlock things. It's all just there in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can unlock some stuff, but I believe that the moves aren't unlockable. Not 100% sure on that one though, because I've only been using tournament variations.
That's fair. Honestly, that's fair.
Yeah, because like honestly, like I'm never gonna play. I don't want to learn the other stuff because I'm trying to compete, so I don't want to like learn something and then be like, wow, fuck, I can't even use this, you know. Yeah. So
another thing that I've heard is that this is actually really friendly to new players, like the, I guess, quote unquote onboarding process to like fighting game community terms and like general fighting game isms is like pretty front facing.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
From what I've heard, the tutorial mode is pretty good. Does the story mode kind of ramp up in a way that makes, sense to a new player?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's not very forgiving at the end if you're playing on a high difficulty. If you play on easy, you could get through the story no problem. And it's kind of like it allows you to customize your experience. So if you just want to play the story for experiencing the story, then play it on super easy and just enjoy it. It's a really great story. There's feels in it, man. Ooh, there's the feels.
I like the feel.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? This is like Up or some shit, that movie with the balloons. Fuck.
Oh no, you're telling me that? Oh no, I don't want to.
But it's good. It's good. I'm not spoiling anything.
Does it have a good dog in it?
No dogs.
There's no dogs in MK11. Are you kidding me? Missed opportunity.
Yeah, well.
Wait, think hard. Is there a dog in MK11?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll take it.
There's a dragon.
Final answer. Okay. All right. Is the dragon... Do you pet the dragon at any point?
No.
Can you pet the dragon? No.
It's not really cute either. It's kind of scary.
Oh, beans. Oh, well. That's a missed opportunity, if you ask me.
You know what? There could be, because you could get Brick, and you could be like, here's the official dog of Mortal Kombat now.
Yeah, that could be the case, let's say. Yeah. He could change hats. He'd probably be into that shit. He likes violence. He likes a good scrap.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so that is Mortal Kombat 11, folks. Is there anything else that you want to pitch about the game, or maybe about Babality before we spin off into the next segment?
If you are a lady and you're listening to this podcast right this second, follow me on Twitter and let's play Mortal Kombat together, and I want to see you on my show every Tuesday. That's really the only thing.
And that's not a question, that's a demand, actually.
Yeah,
that's
there was no questions.
It's not a suggestion.
Follow me on Twitter right this second, or you don't even have to follow me. Just tweet at me. Be like, yo, bitch, I heard you on this podcast. Let me on your show, and I will welcome you with open arms. And I'll be like the happiest person in the entire universe. So please do that. And then other than that, come watch the show on Tuesdays and give us a follow on Twitch at twitch.tv/babality and YouTube at Twitch or youtube.com/babalityfgc. Yeah.
That'll be all linked in the show notes, so don't worry about that, folks. All right, so moving on, though. I will say something that I actually find kind of rude. This is something that I find rude about Street Fighter and Capcom, and it is that anytime a brand new game in whatever series comes out, like I believe they did this when Smash came out and when like Dragon Ball Fighters came out as well, is that they tend to just say, hey, Street Fighter V is free for a week. There's a part of me that feels like that's a little bit rude.
I don't know. Street Fighter V's been around for a long time. If you got to make your game free, then
or like opportunistic, maybe, I guess. Like, but it's only specifically for like ever been like a week or 2 weeks, and it's only during that launch period of a brand new fighting game. And it's like, hey, like Mortal Kombat is a brand new game that is definitely worth playing. Go ahead and play that fighting game. It's a good fighting game, from all reports. Go play that. But then Capcom's like, but hey, if you haven't played Street Fighter V, though, it's free now, but only for 2 weeks and only in these particular situations, and you only get limited characters. Very limited, very limited. Can't stress that enough. Very limited, but 2 weeks. I don't know. I guess that's just opportunistic of them, and I guess hats off to that business decision. But regardless, Street Fighter V is free for the next until the 5th of May. I believe I have that right. Or the 6th. I think it depends on what time zone you're in. But regardless, it's free right now. So go do that. Also, Capcom released a very interesting survey about the Capcom Pro Tour. It is very specifically the Capcom Pro Tour, and go take that quiz. It'll be in the show notes. Also, if you haven't filled out the Street Fighter V community feedback thread, which is like the Google form that's been stickied on our Street Fighter for the past like month or so, go do that now. Have an opinion. I don't even care if you really play the game that much. If you're getting in it for the new 2 weeks of the free period, go and fill that out. I think that everyone's opinion matters, and the more data that we have to send to Capcom, the better. But this one is specifically from Capcom, and the questions that they ask are like, in the way that they phrase them, I think are interesting. Like, one of the questions in particular was phrased this way: how many FGC events do you attend a year? And it listed like 0 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 10, or 10 or more. I think that was the option. I don't have it in front of me. But even like Lumia, when you hear that question and you think about that question, what does an FGC event mean to you? Because they don't specifically say CPT event. I think is that like a distinction that they tried to make?
I mean, to me, an FGC event is everything fighting games. Like I would include my locals in that, honestly.
Yes, like me too. I would totally include that, to the point where it's like having 0 to 2 and then being the low end of it and 10 plus being the high end of it seems like that's like, I feel like that's not the right spread.
No, but I mean, at the same time, they're probably just trying to gauge, people's actual interest in tournaments. Like, because some people don't even go to their locals. They just hang out at home and play online. I mean, I don't know, like I haven't played Street Fighter for quite some time. So like, I'm not sure what the netcode is like now, but like for us at least, we have a hard time with keeping people coming to our locals because our netcode is so good. So it's like, why drive all the way here to play with your friends when you can just play with them online from the comfort of your home with a beer and your pajamas on? You know what I mean? So
Man,
it can be a little bit hard. But like in that situation, I would say locals, man. That counts, doesn't it?
Personally, I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. Like, I would almost, like, any, like, fighting game community related event, I think would be included in that. But that's just, like, what, like, the questions are phrased that way, where I feel like there's a little bit of ambiguity, and I don't know if it's intentional or not. But regardless, go take that survey if that's something that matters to you. But one more thing before we spin off into the end of the show, and again, sorry that you probably don't necessarily have an opinion on this, but Didi Mokov and Mike Too Strong is the our Street Fighter community's they're the first sponsored players in this season of the CPT. So congratulations to them. That is a Dawson player and a Zangief player who are extremely good at their respective characters. Very two like dichotomous, looks at the game. You got your heavy zoning on one end and your heavy grappler on the other. I'm into it.
I'm into it. That sounds cool.
It's a good like fire and ice situation that I'm totally for. And we've got a whole bunch of merch that is up and coming, so look out for that in the next. I'm hoping to get it out next week. I know at least by tomorrow I'll be showing something off on the Reddit SF Twitter account. I believe tomorrow, unless I'm having a hot mess day and I'm not feeling my hottest. If I'm not feeling like I can really give it to a camera tomorrow, maybe look for it on Friday. But oh wait, people will be listening to this on Thursday, so it should be the day. Regardless, I've just Garrus time traveled myself back in time to give this bit. But anyway, if I'm not feeling, if I've got the bloat and I can't give it 100%, I'm not going to give it to the camera. Okay, I can't act on demand that way. All right, this doesn't wake up beautiful. It requires some work. But
I'm sure it does. You just gotta own it.
I'm glowing. Thank you. No. But anyway, look for that in the near future. And with that, though, that's pretty much a show. Is there anything else that you want to pitch that you have going on before we sunset this episode?
Nope. That's it, man. I mean, I wish I could talk about the stuff that I'm coming up with, but just keep your eyes peeled, okay? That's all I gotta say.
I think that's a good enough teaser, There's going to be some good capital K content out there that I think people should get into.
Yeah.
Just trying to stay on brand with this episode. Anyway, folks, everybody knows whenever I have a new guest on, I have to ask them this line of questioning. So you are not special. You have to answer.
Okay.
And I feel like it's a line of questioning that I believe you can tell a lot about a person by the way that they answer the question. And it's two-parter.
Okay.
Part one
ready.
is, what is your favorite normal attack in any fighting game?
Melina's down 3 in MKX.
Okay. But why? Why is it your favorite?
Because it's broken and you can low profile everything, even mids. Sorry, everyone, but it's true. And I love it. For that reason, I will embrace the brokenness of that move, and I'm very happy to do so.
No, that's a good reason. I feel like anything that's exploited, I think that tells a lot about your character, honestly. Tells a lot about you as a person. But part two of this question, somewhat similar. What is your favorite combo in any fighting game?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it a combo, but more so like a sequence. And like some people, it's like
people have answered this question. Listen, the breadth of how people choose to answer this question has been all across the board. You're actually not the first person to say I have like a sequence that's my favorite. So I'm excited. This is a different take on it that I am into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've got two, both from Melina and MKX. There's her 2-1 up 3, which is like a high low overhead string, and it's pretty quick. And I used to catch people with that like as they were getting up all the time, and it was really enjoyable. So that one, and then also down one into her high pounds was really fun because it's safe and awesome.
It's like a 2-in-1 that's safe, so it's like safe pressure. You like your safe pressure and you like your mix-up pressure. Was the first string safe on block?
No.
Oh, okay, so it's a little bit risky, but
well, okay. Here's the thing: it wasn't that it was like super negative, but it was, and you could do 2-1 up 3, and people just like. What I used to do was like do it as they were getting up, so they weren't sure if the low or the overhead was going to hit. So they had to like know the timing perfectly to.
I see. Depending on when you started the meaty. Yeah, I see. Yeah. Where like it's like maybe not even what part is going to hit first.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just it's kind of ambiguous in certain situations, and that's why I liked to use it. And it used to catch people all the time. Actually, in tournament once, I hit someone with that like at least 12 times in a row.
That's just rude.
They were probably so salty. Sorry, whoever that was. but it was really fun. And yeah, I like things that are kind of exploitable.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're a pretty rude player, Al, honestly. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're competing and you're too honorable, this is not an anime, okay? This is real life competition.
This ain't no anime, bitch. This is real life.
This is real life. Okay, we're trying to win. That's all I'm gonna say. Leave the honor out of it. But if you're not going to be an honorable player, at least be cool about it when someone bops you. Like, you deserve it. You deserve that loss because you were being a cocky little shit beforehand, and like you gotta take that L with pride. That's what that's what you gotta do.
I like that as a quote. If you're trying to play as an honorable player, this ain't no anime. This is real life. No, very good. Very good. All right. So that is a show, folks. Thank you all for joining us. And again, Lumia, thank you for taking the time to be on this uncharacteristic episode of RSF Radio. But I think, that's the news this week. It's the brand new fighting game that people should get out and play. If they, expand your horizons. Don't be stuck in a box.
Yeah, and you know what? You can take the awesome skills that you've learned from Street Fighter V and bring it over to MK, and you'll probably kick some major ass. So a lot of people in MK don't have much of a neutral. So take that strong neutral and move your butt over to MK11, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Yeah,
if you want to get some quick, easy W's, go right ahead. Hop on in and start exploiting the shit out of people. Yeah. I'm for it. Okay, so before we sign off for good, though, again, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at twitter.com and twitch.tv/Lumia, LLUMIYA. And you can find my show at twitch.tv/Babality and youtube.com/BabalityFGC. So give us a follow on all of those, and stay tuned to my Twitter for updates on everything, because that's usually where I blab the most about everything that's going on in the old world.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about whatever news you got coming. So, all right, folks. And again, you can find me at Super Joe Monday on Twitter.com or at RedditSF, which is the official account where you can find the official dog of our Street Fighter. He doesn't have a Twitter. I should get him a Twitter. I should definitely get him an Instagram account, honestly.
You should do the Instagram thing, yeah. I think lots of people would love to watch tiny little clips in the video, or clips of videos and like pictures and stuff of your dog.
Yeah, it's mostly just Street Fighter videos now and food occasionally, but what if it was Brick more often? What if it was like cuddle time all the time?
Oh, that's so cute. You should do it.
Grappler lifestyle. That's what I'm about. Cuddle time. All right, folks, that's a show. Catch us every Thursday with another episode of RSF Radio. Don't forget we run 2 tournaments on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays is the East Coast, Fridays is the West Coast. Don't forget about Babality on Tuesdays. It's a whole week of tournaments, folks, just every week. But again, catch us next time on another episode of RSF Radio. But until then, folks, take care.